Coffee and convo, y'all. Let's get it. Yo, salute to everybody already here in the building, man. You guys know what time it is. We are back. Welcome to the latest installment of Coffee and Convo. I am your host, Graphk Raider, man. Salute to the greatest chat in YouTube history. As always, make sure you guys wipe them feet. That means get those likes up. And also, hit that subscribe button if you guys are not subscribed yet. Bear with me, y'all. I had a long trip, so I may be kind of, a little whooped today. But guess what, man? I would not miss out a beautiful coffee and convo on this beautiful Monday morning with my people, man. Salute to Green Dot Gang. I see Seattle Raiders fan, Jersey Raider, all my people, man. If you guys want to become Green Dot like Albert, Dangerfield, my sis Deb, everybody in the building, make sure to hit the link. It's pinned up top. Again, it definitely helps us keep the lights on over here at OLV Raiders Network. A ton to talk about today. We're going to talk about the Gino Smith situation. I know some people assume that we could potentially get out of that contract. It looks as though there's several suitors that may be potentially looking at making a trade for Gino Smith. We're going to talk about that here shortly. I think that this is once again a clear-cut, move from the Raiders to try and see if there's any type of interest out there before they, release him here very, very soon. We're going to talk about this Maxx Crosby situation. We'll start there today. There's a lot to talk about there. We're going to go over the combine, talk about me and Stu's trip. We had a ball out there, man. Salute to everyone that we met out there at the combine. We got a lot accomplished, new relationships, new networking, business partners. There's a lot that we're working towards here this year. We want to make sure that this is the year where the platform just goes into a whole nother stratosphere. So salute to everybody that we met out there, got a chance to hang out with. Salute to my boy Cordero, Howard, my brother Paul. It was great seeing those guys, man. My brother John, salute to him for hooking up the Raider Airbnb, and all my people out there. Got a chance to sit with a ton of scouts. Met with some intriguing people, had some, a lot of football conversations, a lot of dialogues with some of these guys that were at the combine, some receivers, some running backs. I'm going to give you some of my takes on some of these guys' performances out there at the combine. I did not stick around yesterday, you guys, for the O-line, so my apologies. I had to catch my flight. So I don't really have too many, takes on the O-linemen. We'll talk about those guys a ton as we get closer to the draft. We've spoken about them already a lot moving, already this offseason because, again, we have some holes there on the O-line. Parham's a free agent. Last year we had one of the worst O-lines in football, so we definitely need to upgrade there. But other than that, wide receivers, quarterbacks, running backs, we were there for linebackers, DBs. So the only ones that we missed were day one, I believe, and then the last day, Sunday, which were the O-linemen. Salute to Jersey Raider. Any players catch your eye that we haven't talked about yet? Honestly, man, were there any specific players that caught my eye out there that we haven't? No. Most of the guys that we've spoken about were the guys that actually went out there and performed well. There's several guys out there that we know they're not going to be Raiders, right? Jeremiah Love. We know that we just drafted Ashton Jeanty. I'm a Notre Dame guy. He went out there and absolutely killed it. I spoke to one scout, Jersey, and you know what? I'll just say it. It is what it is. We had a conversation with New Orleans, and I went up to them and I said, hey, man, Notre Dame guy, take care of my guy, Jeremiah Love. And he winked and he said, we're going to take very good care of him. So I don't know unless the Giants or the Titans, make a massive move up there in the top 5 to bring him in. I can definitely see him going to the Saints. Anything to keep him away from Kansas City. Because I'm telling you guys now, if Jeremiah Love goes to Kansas City and they get a ground game around Patrick Mahomes coming off that nasty injury, this could be really, really, really nasty for our division. Again, they brought back Eric Bieniemy, a guy that was a running backs coach, several stops before coming back to Kansas City. I think that they're going to want to try and establish the run now. Mahomes is getting up there in age. What are they doing with Kelsey at this point? They're going to try and run the ball. They're going to try and establish, the run game. And it would be nasty if they got Jeremiah Love out there in Kansas City. So salute to my guy, Chuck T. Let's go. Yes, sir. Green Dot Gang is definitely in the building, man. Salute. Hug. We'll start here, brother. Salute to my brother Hug and one of the GOATs, the moderator himself, the mod father himself. Look, man, I said this before, you guys, 70-30. There was a report that came out yesterday, right, that Maxx will not request a trade, okay? We've spoken about this a ton before. You guys know how I feel about this whole Maxx Crosby situation. I've said it's 70-30 that I think he's going to leave. There's been a ton of people out there, you guys, that said that Maxx Crosby was like the big, talk at the combine. He was not. I'm going to be real with you. I don't think I had one conversation with one person about Maxx Crosby. So honestly, there was not a lot of talks. Now, could there have been some other people in different circles that I was not around having, certain conversations about him? Of course, right? The general managers are up there in their suites and, they can go around and talk to other people and blah, blah, blah. I didn't hear a peep about Maxx Crosby at the combine. And I spoke to a lot of people. I didn't hear one thing. I was rated out. I didn't have one person come up to me and say, what do you think you guys are going to do with Maxx? So on and so forth. Okay. Now, I do believe that there's still there's a lot of truth to this situation. I still believe it's 70-30 that we move on from him. I said this about a month ago to you guys, and now it's coming out. I think Albert Breer was the one that said it, that, Maxx loves the Raiders. He loves the fan base. He loves Mark Davis. He would never publicly go out there and say he wants to leave because he does not want to tarnish his reputation as a Raider. This shield means a lot to him. Mark means a lot to him. The fan base means a lot to him. It means a lot for him to be a Raider. But I believe at this point in his career, he's ready to move on. He's ready to go somewhere where he feels that he can fight for for a playoff positioning every single year and potentially find himself in a Super Bowl. Okay. So yesterday it came out that, he would not request a trade. Okay. Which was cool. And I thought maybe this was a situation where cooler heads may prevail, right? Where like maybe he's had a conversation with people behind the scenes and maybe they're getting closer, to an understanding, maybe potentially. And then another report comes out today from Albert Breer, which I seen Albert Breer out there several times at the combine. I actually seen him talking to Michael Lombardi's weenie ass. Yeah, seen him out there. He blocked me and kind of seen me and kind of just turned his head. Him and Albert Breer were talking several times. They were kind of moving around together. They were actually caught them talking with TJ Husmanzada for an extensive amount of time there at what was it? Not at the combine, the convention center where everybody meets up to do the media row type thing, right? TJ Husmanzada, Mike Lombardi, Albert Breer. Well, yesterday again, Jeremy Fowler, ESPN, said that despite all of the rumors, Maxx Crosby does not plan on requesting a trade from the Raiders. I tweeted out that this is still very early, but a good sign that maybe they can possibly work something out. 24 hours later, Edge Maxx Crosby could get traded this week, per Albert Breer. Cowboys, Bears, Ravens, Bills, Patriots, Eagles, Rams, keeping tabs on his availability. So, I know he had a dinner banquet in Vegas the other day. I know JT, salute to him. He was out there hosting it. I know he mentioned that Maxx was an Oakland Raider. I don't know if you guys got a chance to see that video. Have to be real here. Maxx did not look very happy. He looked like, and this is just me reading body language. Again, I could be totally wrong. Maybe Maxx was just exhausted from everything going on in the offseason. He didn't really look like he wanted to be there. And when JT said Oakland Raider, he kind of just I know that he went and spoke a little bit. He went out there and spoke to the fans that were there at the dinner banquet. It was like it was a commitment to excellence award that Maxx Crosby got. Went out there and said, there's always going to be noise and always going to be other things outside, inside, whatever it is. But if you put the work in first, if you lead by example, if you lift up your teammates, they're going to speak louder than any external factor. And that's what I live by. I love playing the game of football, man. This is literally my world. Okay. So nothing really landing there. Again, he's kind of saying the same stuff, kind of being very vague, just saying, hey, I work my ass off. I work my tail off. I love my teammates, so on and so forth, but really, truly still not committing to, the Raiders in this upcoming season. And again, timelines are definitely different here, you guys. He's coming off of another surgery, be 29 years old. The Raiders are getting younger here. They're definitely going to completely hit the rebuild button, bringing in Fernando Mendoza, rookie quarterback. And that was the talk in Indy, you guys. Again, he took that place by storm. He was out there, the place, the building just completely, the top blew off out there when he entered the building. And it was kind of cool to see Fernando. We'll get back to Maxx here in a second, but it was really cool to see him out there because, the measurements, he put a little bit more weight on, you guys. We knew he was 6'5", but it was really, really good to see that he put on some muscle out there. He kind of came out a little yoked there. We initially assumed he would be 225. And I think that he measured out, what was it, 230 something, I believe. I believe the final, what was it, you guys? Did you guys see what he was? Because initially he was 225. I think that they actually had him heavier than that. When he came into the building, yoked up, you can see the back of his arms. He's in the gym. He's working towards different type of abuse that you sustain than at the collegiate level. So I just want to say that, Fernando Mendoza was out there. He looked really, 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 really good. 6'5". I think I knew he was 225 coming into the combine. I think he was a little heavier than that. They said his arm length was 31, 7/8, hand size, 9.5, but Fernando Mendoza, man, was out there. People were excited to see him. They booed Carson Beck profusely because of him being a Miami Hurricane. Several of those fans in the building were IU fans. But let's get back to the Maxx situation. I'm hyped about Fernando Mendoza. I am not going to let this Maxx situation, you guys, take away any happiness that I have for this football team. Again, I am very, very excited about Fernando Mendoza, this upcoming free agency period, the draft class. We have a ton of draft capital. We can also get more, parting ways with Maxx. And we'll talk about what we could potentially get, within that trade. There are several reports out there that we're not going to get a Micah Parsons type deal if we decide to move him. The Raiders are still in the driver's seat here. I know Adam Schefter put it out there that just like the Philadelphia Eagles with their all-pro wide receiver out there, and just like us with Maxx Crosby, are they fielding calls? They're definitely taking calls, but both organizations aren't necessarily interested in moving on from their guys. And we'll see if A.J. Brown is moved. I think he will. And I do believe that Maxx will at some point as well. But he just came out today and said that both teams do not want to move these guys. And it will take, a nice haul in order to, move on from, their top end talent guys that, again, all-pro wide receiver with A.J. Brown and 5-time Pro Bowler Maxx Crosby. Spivey says, Maxx is probably gone. Once a Raider, always a Raider. Agree, Spivey. I do believe that here shortly. And we'll talk about it a little bit more real quick. Let me do this real quick. Salute to Frank. Always supporting what we do, man. My guy. Salute to Psychedelic as well. I appreciate you guys so much. We got 10 new members in the building because of you, the greatest chat in YouTube history. Appreciate you guys so much, man. Salute to all the new members here in the building because of Frank and Psychedelic. If you guys want to become members, hit the link. Again, it's pinned up top. It definitely helps us keep the lights on. And get some questions in, you guys. We're definitely going to talk about this Maxx thing for a minute because there's so many conflicting reports. Yesterday, Jeremy Fowler put it out there that Maxx will not request a trade, which definitely kind of goes back to what I said about a month ago, that Maxx does not want to be public about him wanting to move on from the Raiders. He just built his dream home in Vegas. Again, he loves this fan base. He loves the Shield, but he wants to be a proven winner now, and he wants to go to another place where, well, let me say this. This is from me, not from Maxx. I believe that he wants to go elsewhere to a perennial playoff contender where he can win, every single year. And again, we're hitting the complete reset button here with Spy Tech, Fernando Mendoza and company. So, but I'm definitely buying this. Breer was out there, having conversations behind the scenes, speaking with a lot of people. I've seen him work in the rooms. But again, I have to be honest here, you guys. I said it at the beginning of the show. There was not a lot of Maxx talk. Now, there could have been some dealings, in these suites where a lot of people do not have access to. There could be some GM talks with other GMs and them having these discussions behind the scenes. But I truly, truly believe that this is it. I really, really, really believe that the writing is on the wall here. And again, could it be fixed? Hey, great. If it is, it is. I've said this several times. I'm good either way. I just want this shit to be over with. I really, truly want this to be over with. If Maxx does not fit the timeline of what we are trying to do, this is the perfect time to move off of him. Again, you're probably not you're not going to get, at this point, 2 firsts in an impactful player. Yeah, we're going to talk about that too, Hug. It looks like David Montgomery was traded to the Texans for Scruggs and I believe a 5th and a 7th round pick. So no more Sonic and Knuckles out there in Detroit. I know those Lions fans are pissed off. Scruggs is more of a rotational piece. I don't think he's going to be a starter out there for them. I don't know what the Texans are doing. They just moved off of, 2 offensive linemen, and that's kind of been an Achilles heel for them. Was really bad O-line, really a bad O-line play. I don't know what the Texans are doing here. I mean, I love David Montgomery. I think that it's a good pickup for them. But if they don't have any, a 4th and a 7th, okay, there you go. Initially, it was reported 667 that he was going for a 5th. So, okay, so 4th and a 7th, which I don't know what the Texans are doing here. I truly do not know what they're trying to do here. They got Woody Marks out there. I know that that'd be a great 1-2 punch with him and Montgomery, but I really don't know what they're doing here. I really, truly do not have any clue. It seems every single year they're moving on from, their starting offensive lineman when that's the problem. That's been the issue for them is, how is CJ Stroud going to hold up out there when the O-line play is really, really bad? It's kind of nasty. But salute to J-Ro. Graphk, let's call a spade a spade. This dude, Maxx, is playing with us. Let me say this. I don't think that he's playing with us. I think that he knows what he wants to do, and I think that his representation knows exactly what direction they're trying to go in. This is the thing right here, J-Ro. He knows if he demands a trade publicly, okay, and we've said this again before, if he demands a trade publicly, J-Ro, we could send his ass to Tennessee or Cleveland or Arizona, or the Jets. We could send him elsewhere. He can go to potentially a worse situation than what he's sitting in right now in Las Vegas. So it's smart to play the background and say, hey, monitor some of these big time teams. I'm not shocked that the teams that are all being mentioned here, you guys, are all perennial playoff teams. Well, the Cowboys are not. But again, I think that they're an ascending team. If they can stay healthy, they can be a really, really good football team this upcoming season. The Bears coming off a great season with Ben Johnson. The Ravens had a down year, but, they have a new defensive-minded head coach. There's a lot of new energy out there with Lamar Jackson. He's looking to get another extension out there. The Bills, they're always right there in the thick of things, and they just can't get it done. Maxx could be that piece that can get him over the hump. The Eagles, the Patriots just played in the Super Bowl. The Rams, they have 2 first-round picks this year, and Sean McVay is definitely trying to go all in this year with Stafford probably or possibly being his last year, which I believe it will be. But I'm not shocked that all these teams are the teams that are checking in on his availability. Now, this could be by design here, you guys. Again, Maxx wants to go to a winning program. But the thing is, he doesn't understand this. If you're going to continue to play this where it's like, hey, check to see if some of these winning teams would like to, part ways with some draft capital and bring me in, they have to understand that there's going to be some potential bad teams that may make some calls here and say, hey, we'll give you even more to potentially bring Maxx in. And at that point, you can't control Maxx, what the Raiders do behind the scenes. So again, if a bad team comes calling and says, hey, we got 2 first-round draft picks and an impactful player, look, don't be mad if Spy Tech makes the move. Because again, you guys are playing the behind the scenes game right now. You know what I mean? Just because you want out and you want to be, sit to a really good franchise, a really good organization that's fighting for playoff, bursts year in and year out doesn't mean that you'll land there. Again, but I'm gonna be real, man. I'm telling y'all, go watch that Maxx Crosby video at that banquet dinner, and he looked like he really wanted nothing to do with being there. He looks like he seems fed up, and it looks as though he's ready to go. And again, this is just me going off of what I'm seeing, body language and the words that he is choosing to use in regards to what is going on in this situation. He's not committing to the Raiders. He's just saying, I never said anything. I never said anything. Well, when you don't say anything, like, honestly, you're saying everything. You're saying everything. I truly believe that, again, I believe this Albert Breer article. I believe this report. I do. Now, I don't believe that means that he'll potentially be traded this week. Maybe that's too soon. Only time will tell. But I really, truly believe that this report is real. And Albert Breer is a really, really reliable source. I see people tagging him on Twitter because we're Raider fans, and people are pissed off about, oh, you're doing this for clicks and this and that. Look, Albert Breer is definitely a very, very well-respected name around NFL circles. He doesn't just throw shit against the wall and hope it sticks. I'm just going to be honest here, you guys. Albert Breer, is a guy that talks to several people around around NFL circles. He's a trusted insider. There are a ton of conflicting reports, so I get why some of us may say, man, this guy is just whoop. And then Jeremy Fowler comes out, ESPN says Maxx is not, going to demand a trade. So it's so conflicting here. But again, nobody's bigger than this. And this would be the best time in order to completely hit the reset button. I honestly feel like if you go into this year with Maxx Crosby, you're not really hitting the reset button. Because again, if you really, truly want to invest in the youth, then you go get some draft capital this offseason for Maxx. It's a win-win for both parties. And now you can truly hit the reset button without having an aging edge rusher at a premium position, of course, but a guy that's also coming off several, surgeries. And it looks as though he wants every single down moving forward that he plays to mean something. And with Fernando Mendoza and all the, these young guys that are going to be in the building this year, I don't know, if that's truly what he wants to do. Salute to J-Ro. Let's be real, Graphk. If I love my job or my lady or my friends, everyone will know it. The Bible says that a double-minded man is unstable in all of his ways. I hear you, bro, but I look at this differently, bro. This is not my lady. This is not my friends or family. This is a job. At the end of the day, bro, this is totally different, bro. I mean, bro, like, look, J-Ro, do you hate your job or do you love your job? I mean, I know a lot of people that hate their job, and they're not going to say it because they may get canned, right? This is a job. I think because of us always thinking with our Raider hearts and our Raider minds, we're fans at the end of the day. And we truly love the Raiders. We grew up loving, this franchise, loving this organization. A lot of us grew up with this team. You know what I mean? So it's totally different, brother. I hear you. But again, Maxx is putting his body on the line year in and year out. For what? To be 4-13, to be fucking 3-14. This is a different situation. He's made all the money that he's needed to make up to this point. He's starting to invest in other businesses and starting to build up some equity, in the financial game. At this point, man, football, he wants to fight for something. He wants to play for something. You know what I mean? So if he comes out and says that, again, it definitely decreases his trade value. Ro says, I don't have it. Well, then this is the wrong discussion to have, my brother. But salute to Ro, my dog. Hey, you know what? And Ro, hey, man, for you to send some donations, bro, without having a job, hey, man, I appreciate that, brother. I appreciate that, man. I'm not going to ask you where you get your money, but salute to you, Ro, my dog, my brother, man. Let me see. He said he let the rumors beat him mentally. I don't think so. I think that these rumors this offseason are by design. I've been saying this, Jay Raider. I don't think that this year it's, oh my God, whoa. This is by design here. It's by design here. And again, the Raiders benefit from this. I really, truly believe, and again, in my heart of hearts, you guys, again, I've told you guys this several times. I speak to Maxx, we do the DM game. We talk to each other, catch up. I'm always rooting for him. I hit him up. I'm proud of you, brother. Keep going, keep going hard. He says the same thing to me. But at the end of the day, man, it's a business. It's a business. And honestly, I feel like this is the time to honestly take advantage of his stock and move on. Respect how you don't take the Maxx thing personally. He was in Oaktown. If he doesn't believe in this Tom Brady Raiders shit, I don't blame him. There you go. Hey, count. And there you go, brother. There you go. Again, I'm an older fan, and some of you guys are my age or older. Again, I've said this same thing a million times. I've seen Timmy, I've seen Marcus Allen, I've seen Khalil Mack, I've seen other guys move on and go elsewhere. I'm not, my fandom doesn't lie with Maxx Crosby. It just doesn't. And I believe this year, how many times have I told you guys, the last 3 or 4 off seasons, I'm out there debunking all this shit. Maxx ain't going nowhere. He's not going anywhere. Maxx is a Raider. He's a Raider. And what has happened this year? My tone has changed because I truly believe that this is the perfect time to strike while the iron is hot. You're bringing in a rookie quarterback that you can potentially bring in some new pieces through the draft that you can build with him. Look, Fernando Mendoza is a leader. He's a leader, you guys. You lose a leader in Maxx Crosby, that sucks. But you're bringing in another leader with Fernando Mendoza, okay? So at the end of the day, like, there's still going to be some leadership in the building. Now, are these leadership qualities different? Yes, Maxx is a veteran, 5-time Pro Bowler. You're bringing in Fernando Mendoza, a guy that is coming off of a crazy run, national championship, undefeated, Heisman Trophy winner. But again, you're bringing in another guy that is a proven leader. Now, year one, are some of these veterans going to listen to him? To be determined. But again, this is the perfect time to bring in some young guys that are going to look at Fernando Mendoza as the leader of that football team. So again, I think this would be the best time to do so. But again, I think that some of us are really, really, truly too tied to the Maxx situation. And some people think that, again, 2 first in an impactful player. Look, man, again, I think that Maxx is a better football player than Micah Parsons. I know a lot of you will disagree with me. I get it. He's older. I'm not talking about age and injury history. I'm just talking about impact. I think that Maxx is a very, very, very high impactful player in the run, against the pass. The dude is a demon. But again, timeline, you guys, timeline. We're bringing in a fresh new coaching staff, and we're going to talk about that here in a second as well. We're going away from the Pete Carrolls, one of the oldest coaching staffs in football, to one of the more younger ones in football. You went out and got the big fish, the Clint Kubiaks of the world. I think, honestly, this is the best time to come in here and establish the youth movement. You got Genty in year 2, who's looking to have a crazy bounce back year after having one of the worst O-line play in football. You got Brock Bowers, who this season, barring any health, God forbid, is going to ascend to superstardom. You know what I mean? Like, this is a good time to build this O-line up. You got a lot of young pieces out there. Caleb and JPJ, Grant, all these guys on rookie deals. This is a good time to really take advantage of the youth movement and allow some of these guys to develop, and it is what it is. He said, take Maxx is nowhere near Mac. Oh, no. I'm not comparing those two. Take the world. I've said this several times. People were pissed off at me for saying that I would rather have Khalil Mack in his prime over Maxx Crosby. Khalil Mack is a demon, bro. He's a demon. Sorry. Look, yes, Maxx is the tackle for loss. God said this several times. But Khalil Mack, all pro at 2 different positions. I watched Khalil Mack take over games, win games. I remember him winning that Carolina Panthers game by himself, pick 6. Bro, how many times did he get to Cam Newton that time? I forgot how many times he got to him that game. But again, I've seen him dominate football games. So I'm not comparing those two. I'm going off of Micah Parsons and Maxx Crosby. I believe that Maxx is the better football player. Just is what it is. But again, I haven't committed to either one. If Maxx stays, I'm happy. If he leaves, I'm happy. I'm not committing to him being traded, but I do believe it's a 70-30 chance here that he's gone. I've said this for the last 2 months now, since all the reports came out about him being disgruntled, about being benched, and putting on the IR the last few weeks of the season. Got to keep it real. Okay, take the world. Got you. Got to keep it real. I'm buying into this. Honestly. And some people may say, well, you said that it was really quiet on the Maxx Crosby front of the combine. I think that speaks volumes. I think that I wouldn't buy into it if there was more smoke at the combine. Like, when it's so quiet and the organization is moving under the radar with John Spytek and company, I was told behind the scenes, you guys, honestly, like, they're going to be moving in another direction in terms of how they go about business. They want to be a lot more cerebral. They want to be under the radar. They don't want to be loud. We don't want to be that obnoxious organization where it's like, oh my God, there's always something. There's something coming out of the locker room. There's always this, and that. They want to be a very, very established organization. They want to be a true organization that doesn't have all this drama tied to them. And honestly, if you move on from Maxx, the first few months, right, you'll hear a ton of, oh my God, I can't believe they moved on from Maxx Crosby, the same Raiders team, blah, blah, blah. They didn't get the trade package that we assumed they would get. And then there's going to be weeks where Maxx Crosby goes out for whatever team he gets traded to. If he gets traded, he's going to ball out. And we're going to hear all the noise. I can't believe they traded this guy. I can't believe they traded this guy. I get it. This team, this organization is trying to move in a different direction. They're trying to be more clean cut. They're not trying to be the same football team where all this noise was coming out of the locker room. The Devontae Adams, they're going to get me killed. All this other shit. You know what I mean? Like they want to change the energy around this football team. They really do. They really do. That's the thing that they wanted to operate like a real organization. And they've been doing that. So again, for it to be so quiet at the combine in regards to Maxx Crosby, that speaks volumes of where they are trying to go with this team moving forward. And again, does Spytek technically want to move on from Maxx Crosby? Probably not. But at the end of the day, I think he understands this, that right now, this would probably be the best time in order to do so because it's clear that there is real smoke to Maxx in his camp of him wanting to leave. So it's easier, and I said this several weeks ago, right? You know how it's easy to ease the blow of moving on from Maxx Crosby? You move him before the draft and you draft Fernando Mendoza. And everybody in the nation kind of forgets about the whole Maxx Crosby situation. This is the perfect time to do it. You move on from Maxx. It sucks. You bite the bullet, and then you enter the draft and you draft Fernando Mendoza at number 1. And our fan base just says, you know what? We got our guy. And it's right back to being excited about the youth movement and what this team can possibly do in year 1 with Mendoza and Clint Kubiak. So again, it is what it is. But I love the way that they are operating. They're being very, very quiet. There's not a lot of smoke around this stuff. You know, I spoke to several people out there at the combine, and they really, truly love the way the Raiders are going about this offseason. Regardless of all the Maxx smoke, they're being very strategic, very cerebral. They're not being loud. They're not being obnoxious. They're being very quiet. Spytek is just, you know, political answers to questions, you know, surrounding this team. I love it. I love it. They're being really, really quiet. So to my guy Singh, yeah, people don't realize the more Maxx talks about the trade, the more his value tanks for us. And I think he knows that, though. I think he knows that. I think that Maxx wants to say something, honestly. Singh, I think that Maxx would love to come out and say, hey, you know, blah, 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 this is how I feel. But again, he loves the Raiders. He loves the organization. And I don't think that he wants to put a blemish on this organization. I think that he's just kicking back and saying, hey, let's do it what was for the betterment of this team and myself. And that's why he's being so quiet. You know what I mean? And again, you are completely right. If he comes out and says, I want out, you know, it's a little different because this situation is a lot different. Micah was what, 2.5 years, 3 years younger than Maxx. Micah was clearly looking for a new deal, and there was hints that he wanted out. You know, him and Jerry Jones, that relationship looked like it was spiraling out of control and about to blow up. They got 2 firsts, you know, and a former, you know, Pro Bowl defensive tackle there, you know, in Dallas for the services of Micah Parsons. But this is a different situation. Micah needed a new deal. Green Bay was willing to go out there and pretty much throw the farm at Micah and his people. Maxx is on a really, really inexpensive deal here, you guys. There's a ton of value with this contract, a ton of value. Like, the Raiders got ahead of this situation. That's why I love the way Spytek operates. When he extended him, he knew what was coming. He knew that Myles Garrett deal and the Micah Parsons, he knew. He got ahead of it, and now Maxx's deal looks like one of the sweetest deals in the NFL right now. But again, you know, I think that Maxx would like to say something. I think that he's a very vocal person. There's a reason he has a podcast. There's a reason why he's a leader in the locker room. You know, Maxx, you know, I do believe that he wants to. I think he looks very disinterested and very pissed off and very just kind of kind of out of this situation when you see him, because I think he has a lot that he wants to say, you know, a lot. I think that he probably want to, you know, attack some of the national media. He probably wants to DM me and be like, Graphk, shut the fuck up. But again, you know, until we really truly know how he feels about the situation, everybody's going to hold out hope that this is just all smoke and mirrors. But I believe that this is real. Again, for those who are wondering what's going on right now, there was a report that came out from Jeremy Fowler yesterday that Maxx will not request the trade. Okay, so that kind of puts him in protection mode in terms of what the family, what the fan base thinks of him. It kind of puts the Raiders, if we do trade him, kind of back in villain mode, right? It's kind of a tit for tat type situation, right? I don't find this a coincidence that just yesterday Maxx won't request the trade, and then today, I believe that he's going to be traded. Albert Breer, and then there's several candidates, and there's making calls and blah, blah, blah. This is a tit for tat situation here. Nobody wants to be the villain in this situation. Nobody does. The Raiders want to continue to move the way they're moving, and Maxx is weighing his options here and seeing what is out there. But again, I do believe that Maxx is smart enough to understand that the Raiders have the keys and they're in the driver's seat here. If they want to move them to a less, satisfying destination, they can do so. They can do so. Salute to my guy Sing, man. Appreciate you, brother. As always, salute to everybody here in the building. Wipe them feet, hit them thumbs up. If you guys are not subscribed yet, man, make sure you guys hit that subscribe button. Almost 1,000 people strong here in the building. Salute to you guys. Get a ton of questions in. We can talk about the combine. We can talk about whatever you guys want to. You guys know how we do. Coffee and Convo. This is your guys' show. Get those questions in, and we'll definitely talk shop. I'm going to stick around for a while today. I didn't really get a chance to go live a ton out there because we were ripping and running. So I'm excited, man, to hang out with you guys today and talk some ball. Salute to Mendoza line. I keep seeing the Raiders have not done right by Maxx. Yeah, I don't agree with that at all. They've done things he has asked for. It's not right to blame one side. Facts, bro. They've given him extension after extension. A year or so ago, they gave him a $6 million pay upgrade. They didn't have to do that, right? He was screaming from the top of the mountaintops to bring AP back, or anything is on the table at that point. They brought AP in, brought him back. It didn't work. The Raiders, they owe Maxx nothing. The Raiders owe Maxx nothing. Nothing. 2-4. Let me find that real quick, my brother. My apologies. I did not see your super. Let me see. But honestly, the Raiders owe Maxx absolutely nothing. So it's my guy 2-4 in the building. Graphk, I'm hyped just as you, but this Maxx shit is effing tiring. Just trade his ass out of here. This guy made his bed now. He has to lay in it. And, I'm kind of worried. You are right now, 2-4. I'm just like, get it over with. Rip the Band-Aid off. Let's move on and send him packing. Hopefully somewhere he would like to go for a nice trade package that benefits both parties. I agree with you, 2-4. I'm over this. And this is not going to end anytime soon unless he is traded. This is going to be all the way leading into the draft. If he's not moved like Albert Breer, expect him to be traded the next week or so. If it doesn't happen, expect this to just continue to go into, draft season. And we're right here, right around free agency is right around the corner here, you guys. It's literally days away. I would like, and I think that Albert Breer kind of hit the nail on the head in terms of timeline, right? Because if you move Maxx now and you pick up some extra draft capital, you can enter free agency and start looking at some of these top edge names that are available there and say, hey, we can possibly go spend some money. We freed up some, $30 million with this Maxx contract. We can go out there and spend it and bring in one of these edge rushers and then double down in the draft. I think right now the timeline definitely fits right before free agency. If you can move that contract and move Maxx before that, hey, man, we could be in for a really, really good free agency period in terms of the edge rusher position. So it's my guy, Willie, man. Going to put up the Spy Tech statue when we trade Maxx and sign him back in 2028, 29, when we have built this roster and are ready to make a run. That would be funny. And again, I think that Maxx is definitely he lands in that category of, when it's all said and done, come back and sign a last, one-time deal with the Raiders and you move on. You retire. That would be funny, Willie. That would be absolutely comical. But think about it. In 2028, Maxx is what, 31, somewhere in that. And where is he in terms of motor? At some point, you guys know this, the motor cannot continue to go the way it used to go. The more miles you put on a car, the less, that motor gets to, right? Now, I don't know what Maxx is going to look like at that point. We shall see. But again, that would be hilarious. Hug, you're not slick, brother. I know where you're going with this. I'm going to say, we're just working towards some things. Again, we made some calls. We sat down with some people out there. One of the sit downs that I wanted to happen, we're still in communication. It didn't happen because of how crazy the entire combine was, but we're still working on a sit down here and potentially a virtual interview here soon. Stay tuned, you guys. But there was so much going on. It was very, very difficult for me to lock down some of the things that I wanted to do. But again, we're definitely working on some big things over here at Shieldmore, not just myself with OLV Raiders Network, but the guys. So stay tuned. Salute to my brother Hug, man. Salute to 2-4 as well, man. Gifting 5 OLV Raiders Network memberships. My guy, man. Salute to all the new members here in the building because of my brother 2-4. And again, you guys, the latest report on Maxx Crosby, for those who are just joining, Albert Breer put it out there. Maxx could get traded this week. Teams to keep an eye on, Cowboys, 2 first-round picks this year. The Bears, we know that they're in win-now mode. Their Super Bowl window is just now opened up with Caleb and Ben Johnson out there. And keep an eye on we're going to talk about a few potential names to keep an eye on here that we may take a look at. There's a linebacker out there that is in the trade market right now, Pro Bowl guy. Possibly could be a name attached to a Maxx Crosby trade if we possibly send him to Chicago. We're going to go over that here in a second. We're going to talk about this Geno situation real quick. I kind of want to get this one out the way real quick, you guys. There's several reports out there that some teams believe that Geno was set back from Chip Kelly and Brendan Carroll and that offense last year. I want to say this. There's possibly some suitors out there, Arizona, Minnesota. There's teams out there like Miami that can possibly make a trade, just part ways with a late round pick for Gino Smith. I do not see any team coming in and inheriting that deal right now. Okay. This is Spy Tech and Company playing ball like they should, putting some stuff out there into the universe that, Gino still has it, which I don't know if he's ever really truly had it. I think at best he was a middle of the pack type quarterback, but I think you guys got to pump the brakes here about this whole Geno Smith trade situation. I don't think there's any value in that. He's coming off the worst season of his career. His contract is not terrible, but I don't think that a team like Minnesota or Miami, with them still trying to figure out what they're doing with Tua, Arizona figuring out what they're doing with Kyler Murray, I don't think there's going to be any trade possibilities with Geno Smith. Okay. And honestly, I think that Geno would possibly rather be released and kind of, enter a situation where he can kind of go out there and pick where he wants to go. Well, I don't know if he can technically pick, but I know he'd probably want to go to Minnesota with Kevin O'Connell and that nice roster out there. It looks like they're trying to move on from J.J. McCarthy. I think they're trying to, they're kind of putting it out there that they missed with J.J. McCarthy. Simple and plain. So, but I want to put this out there. Spy Tech and Company are doing exactly what they're supposed to do. They're kind of throwing some shit out there with Geno Smith that, he still possibly has it. And that, some teams believe that in the right situation, he'll be great and so on and so forth. Geno Smith will be released, you guys. He will be released. We'll save $8 million toward the cap this year, and then we'll eat that 18 moving forward. But I don't see any team that would possibly make a trade for Geno Smith coming off of a declining year that he had, flipping off hug D's, and again, top of the league in interceptions. I don't think that anyone wants to bring in a 35-year-old quarterback with that contract. They'll let him get released. He'll take a team-friendly deal somewhere else, possibly Minnesota or one of those teams. If they don't run it back with J.J. McCarthy, or if they don't look at possibly bringing Kirk Cousins back to Minnesota, possibly if D.C. Decides to come back and Minnesota can work some things out with New Orleans. D.C. is definitely an intriguing name out there to keep an eye on with Minnesota. But please, you guys, don't think that we're going to get out of that contract. I truly believe that we're going to release him. And we don't get anything in return for him. We'll eat that $18 million, but we will free up $8 million, and we can use that money to bring in a veteran guy that can come in and be the backup to Fernando Mendoza, or possibly a journeyman that comes in and starts for you the first 4 or 5 weeks until they feel like Fernando's up to speed, which I think he'll start from week 1. Salute to Just Win Baby 26. Appreciate you on becoming a member. Salute to you, family. As always, appreciate you. If you guys want to become members, hit the link. It's pinned up top. Alazed, Graphk, who do you want us to grab at 36 post combine? It's going to be interesting, right? I mean, let me bring this up real quick, real fast. I had some notes up here. Hold on real quick, you guys. All right. With the Raiders possibly having interest for a veteran linebacker, okay, there's reports out there coming out, you guys, that the Raiders are one of 3 teams possibly interested in trading for Pro Bowl linebacker Tremaine Edmunds, okay? Again, he is 27 years old. He's still in the pinnacle of his career, former Pro Bowl guy. He had permission to seek a trade out of Chicago. We're going from that 4-3 to 3-4 defense. It makes sense that the Raiders will possibly, be a team to keep an eye on there. 27. He's entering the final deal of a 4-year, $72 million deal. So it looks like Chicago's trying to free up some money there, getting out of that deal, do a base salary of $13.9 million. So it looks like he has pretty much $14 million on the books. I don't know what a trade looks like, possibly a late round pick to bring him in. Last year, recorded 112 total tackles, 61 solo, 3 tackles for a loss, a sack, 4 interceptions. Chicago led the league in picks last year. 9 pass breakups, 1 fumble recovery, and 13 starts. So a guy, again, who is still very young, 27 years old. I would love this move. Now, do I like bringing in that contract? No, but it's the last year of his deal. You can possibly rework that and bring him back on, extend him and kind of bring that, that salary down a notch this upcoming season. But it looks like the Raiders, Giants, and Titans are the 3 teams to monitor, according to Jeremy Fowler, that are interested in possibly making a trade for Tremaine Edmunds. Now, this is a guy, again, that if you bring him in, you possibly look at that 36 a little different. You look at it a little different because I was looking, maybe you look at the CJ Allens of the world, possibly, one of these other linebackers that are available there at 36. If you bring him in, maybe they look to continue to build that, that D line up, and they look to bring in a real nose tackle, right? Or just, just a defensive lineman in general, possibly an edge rusher. We talked about R. Mason Thomas, we've spoken about Messidor if he somehow, some way escapes round 1, which is very much possible. But I still love the kid out of Toledo, man. I really, truly enjoyed, watching, McNeil go out there and perform. He is a guy that I really believe, if he's there at 36, which I don't believe he will be, I think that he has solidified himself as a first-round pick. That would be my guy right there. That would be my guy at 36. I don't care, what position he's at. I think we definitely need to bring in some safety help. We need some corner help. But to me, he's just too good of a prospect to take a look at. If he's there at 36, I'm bringing in McNeil. Honestly, I would love him at 36. I don't know. Maybe they go wide receiver there. I know they met up with Branch. Salute to Zach Branch, Cliff Branch's grandson. It's funny that me and Stu were sitting there with my boy John, and we were watching them do their vertical jumps. And Zach, and who else was it? It was Zach. It was Omar Cooper Jr. They thought that me and Stu were scouts. They were talking. They were like, yo, the Raiders are here, man. They're checking us out. You know what I mean? So I don't know if we actually added a little extra, incentive for them to jump higher on their verticals. But Zach Branch was definitely, and Omar Cooper Jr. were looking at us like, yo, the Raiders are here, man. And we got the cameras out. We're filming them. They thought that we were scouts. They thought that we were out there, trying to bring these guys in, right? So I don't know how high they are on them. I think if Zach Branch is available there in the 3rd round, I think he will be. I would definitely bring him in. I know that they're really high on Omar Cooper Jr. Now, will he be there at 36? To be determined. I don't know. Several people were telling me now that he's going to be a first-round talent. And it looks as though, from all the talks out there with Omar Cooper, again, it was some hometown cooking there. He's in Indy, right? IU is not that far away from there. So, possibly it could have been some hometown cooking, but from what I'm hearing, Omar Cooper Jr. may be a late first round guy. He has continued to raise his stock this whole offseason. So I don't know if we go wide receiver there at 36. I really do not believe so. I think you take the best defender available. That's an edge rusher, linebacker, safety, whoever it is, defensive lineman, just whoever it is, get the best defensive player available there at 36 and run it, because we need a whole new defense. Simple and plain. But not really, Elias. I'm not really changed. I mean, I'm still high on McNeil. I'm still really, truly keeping an eye on where R. Mason Thomas can go, the young pass rusher out of Oklahoma. I still want to see if somehow, some way, Messidor drops to 36 and he falls into the second round. But only time will tell, man. We're not too far away from the draft. Salute to Bravo. We need to realize Maxx did not grow up a Raider fan. He does not have the love we have for this team. So not willing to sacrifice his career. Bravo, I will say this, brother. I disagree with you. Again, will he have as much love as we have for this team? No, because we've been watching this team our entire life. So I agree with you in that sense. But this organization took a chance on him. They took a chance on a guy, a small name guy out of a small school, Eastern Michigan, in the 4th round. A guy that, looked like he was definitely wet behind the ears when he came in. He was drafted. A guy that found his footing at, in Oakland, sobriety. This organization changed his life. So I don't want to compare our loves for this team to him, because I don't think it's even close. But again, this organization changed his life. It allowed him, to build his family and build his new dream home in Vegas. I think that Maxx truly loves this team. I really, truly do. But the one thing that the difference between us is we'll love this team if they win, lose, or draw. I think this point in his career, he just wants to win. I think Maxx loves winning over the idea of just the Raiders, if that makes any sense. I think, honestly, winning prevails over the Raiders at this point in his career. I think that he's tried to make it work, with Josh McDaniels, with Gruden, with, AP, with Pete Carroll. I just think at this point, he just values winning over everything. And I'm not upset about that at all. And if he's moved, I think that he doesn't believe in what we have going on. I don't think he believes that we're in win now mode. So this is what it is. Salute to 667. Rich Eisen just said, the Cowboys, if you aren't getting a young defender at 12, why not get Maxx for it? It's about to get interesting. Well, look, if you can get that 12, you make the move. Simple and plain. If you can get an early round draft pick like that, where you can possibly get Sonny Styles, which I think he'll be a top 10 guy now, possibly go to the Giants, possibly be a top 5 pick. He absolutely destroyed, the combine, his brother as well. But if you can get 12, as much as I love Maxx, I don't really care what comes after that. If we can get a third and maybe a player, that'd be great. But if you can get the 12 spot for Maxx, come on, man. Come on, man. Come on. Salute to my guy, Sing in the building. Salute to Nav, man. Sorry I missed you at the combine, Docs. I didn't even know you were there, brother. I didn't even know you were there. Salute to my guy. Yeah, man, that sucks, bro. Next time, if you can, DM me and let me know where you are, bro. I definitely would have came and sat down and kicked it with you for a minute. Grab Dunker with the mullet in the 3rd round. I don't know if he's going to be there in the 3rd. I really don't. Now, if the Raiders trade back in the 2nd from 36 and pick up some extra draft capital, I wouldn't be against bringing in Dunker. I think that, him and JPJ would be definitely fun to watch together. Kind of like the Bash brothers in the Mighty Ducks. You know what I mean? I feel like him and JPJ would be that. Like, honestly, like that would be a fun duo there in the interior of our offensive line. That would be great. Dunker, he went out there and absolutely was a media darling. He had the mullet on full display. What does Waste to say? Business in the front, party in the back. So, but I would love Dunker. I think that Omar Young would love to bring him in as well. His former running backs coach at Iowa. He fits what the Raiders are trying to do in terms of scheme fit on that O-line. He would be a great asset, a great addition to this team. I think him and JPJ would be very, very fun to watch. They'd be a really fun duo there on that O-line. Let me see. Maxx ain't going. Oh, hey, to be determined, brother. We shall see. Squid says Maxx is a Raider for life. He has nothing to prove to us. Go out and be great. Exactly. If he moves, so be it. Yeah. Salute to my guy Squid. Facts, bro. Facts. Facts plus tax, man. Just Raiders Baby says, Dunker in a second unless we slide back into the second. I wouldn't be upset about that. We'll see here in the next week how they address this O-line. I expect them to be very aggressive, in terms of the free agency pool with those O-linemen. I'm seeing right now that Linderbaum could potentially get 22 to 23 million a year in free agency. I don't know if Spytech wants to pay that kind of money for a center. We'll see how high he is on him. Again, one of the best, run blocking centers in football, but kind of a middle of the pack guy in terms of pass blocking. I don't know what Spytech, values more moving forward. I know they want to run the football a lot with Genty, and they want to bring in, that second guy with Genty and create that 1-2 punch. But we'll see. We'll see. Let me see. Yeah, I would love that. I would love it. Logan Jones and Dunker. That'd be great. That'd be great. I know we met with Coogan as well, you guys, the center from Indiana, former Notre Dame product. So I don't know how high they are on him, but they did have a sit down with Coogan, the center from Indiana, Fernando Mendoza's guy. So, all right, boom. Salute to TZ, my guy, man. Graphk, what's your thoughts? I love it. Okay, I've been waiting for it. I've been waiting to transition to that 3-4. I've been waiting, man. I've been waiting a long time. I'm really excited. I know that some people say we don't have the talent right now to run a 3-4 defense. Bro, we don't have the talent to run a 4-3 defense right now. I just laugh when people say that shit. I laugh. We don't have the talent to run a 3. We don't have the talent to run a 4-3 right now. We don't have the talent. How can you judge the defense right now when it's going to look so new after free agency in the draft? I don't get that. People like, why are you guys running with that narrative of us not having the talent to run a 3-4? We don't have the fucking talent to run a 4-3. We don't have the talent on defense, period. And a ton of these guys are free agents, and we're going to go out there and get right in free agency and get right in the draft. I just don't understand why people keep saying that. It's just weird to me. But I'm excited to return to that 3-4 defense where, a lot of those Super Bowl winning teams ran. I'm hyped. I'm hyped. I'm really, really excited, man. Salute to S. Dot, my dog. Hey, Graphk, do you think we draft my guy, wide receiver Xavier Thomas, later since he is? I don't think that these guys, S. Dot, are necessarily valuing speed right now over anything else. Again, S. Dot, what we do last year? We brought, our guy in out of Tennessee, right? Dante Thornton Jr. Ton of speed. Tucker is not he has some speed to him as well. We got some speedy guys already in the building. I'm not saying that, Tuck is as fast as some of these other guys, but I don't think that they're just going to be looking at speed guys. Honestly, I don't. I think that they're intrigued by Zach Branch. This guy can come in and potentially be, I'm not saying your wide receiver 1, but he could potentially be your wide receiver 2, add a ton of value in special teams as well as a returner. I don't know. Honestly, I don't know. And I got to look up Xavier Thomas. Why does that name ring a bell? Have we spoken about him a ton? The LSU guy, right? 488, 4 touchdowns last year, 41 catches. What was his 40? Let me see what 40 he ran. 4.28. Runs official 4.28. So, yeah, he was fast as shit. I don't think they're going to value speed over production, S. Dot. I don't. I truly do not believe that. I think they're going to try and bring in the more productive options in the draft, guys that have actually been there and done that and put up some big numbers. Again, I'm not saying that Xavier Thomas can come into the league and possibly be a good football player. But again, 5'10", ran a 4.28. That's great. I'm looking at these stats here, though. And again, I know that LSU has kind of had some down play recently. But I'm looking right now. Yeah, 503 in 2023, Mississippi State. 7 touchdowns in his career, 1, 2, 3, 4 seasons. I don't know. I don't think this is the same Raider team, S. Dot, that we were accustomed to watching growing up with Al in the building, just going out there and getting a ton of speed. I really don't believe that. I think they're going to bring in the better, options there. S. Dot, go back to what they did in the second round last year, brother. I think you get your answers there. What do they value there in the second round? They went and got Jack Besh. not the fastest guy, former tight end, a guy that can block, great route runner, a guy that loves contact, embraces it, can eat up the middle of the football field. I think that kind of tells you what direction they're kind of going in. And again, there's a ton of reports coming out that, we're going to be in on the Shaheed sweepstakes as well. So another name to keep an eye on. But I think that they would value Branch over Xavier. Honestly, I do believe. I don't think this is the same Raiders team that again, we've come up watching. I don't think they're going to value speed over, Mike Washington Jr., a guy that I wanted and I still want in a Raider jersey to be that 1-2 punch with Genty. He went out there and just absolutely cooked. What was it, a 4.36, I believe, or somewhere around there? I think Love was like 4.38. Don't quote me on that. Love was just killing it. Every drill, Jeremiah Love just went out there and absolutely, he's a top 10 pick. He's top 3 talent in this draft. Honestly, man, it's him, it's Mendoza, it's Caleb Downs. Those guys are just absolutely amazing. But Mike Washington Jr., I thought that we would potentially be able to get him later, possibly one of those 4th round picks or a 5th round pick. His draft stock drastically went up because of the speed that he put on full display out there at the combine. Salute to him. We were right next to him, got a chance to see him get really emotional. Got on the phone. I believe he called his family or he was speaking to his agent. I don't know who he was speaking to, but salute to him, man. Arkansas product, went out there and absolutely built his draft stock like crazy. That is a Graphk guy, Wasted. That is a Graphk guy. Okay, Love was a 4.36. He was a 4.33. There you go. Crazy. Okay, Love was 4.36. There was so much going on out there, you guys. I was trying to keep an eye on the verticals. I was trying to keep up. There was so much shit going on at the combine. It was very difficult to have all these discussions with these people and keep up with the actual numbers. So thank you guys for correcting me on that. Lumpy, putting 2 Iowa guys at the center of your O-line makes the running the ball a hell of a lot easier, especially with Omar Young in the mix, and gives Mendoza something to lean on. Talk that talk, Lump. Talk that talk, my brother. And we'll see. We'll see how they, again, address this offensive line. Kubiak, says that Colton's going to be that guy out there at left tackle. He did mention Glaze by name in terms of the right tackle position, so I don't know if he's going to continue to see him as a right tackle or possibly put him in at the guard spot. We'll get a better understanding of what they're going to do next week when free agency opens up. Again, we can get excited by these Iowa guys and some of these other possible O-linemen. We got to kind of pump the brakes here, you guys, because if they go out here and spend big money in free agency like I expect them to, we're going to possibly go more defense in the draft, maybe get a late round back to pair with Ashton Genty if we don't bring in a veteran guy in free agency, and then possibly, again, another wide receiver or two as well to add to what we have in that room right now. Salute to my guy Lumpy, man. Salute to Jamal. I think Max is pulling a Myles Garrett. I don't think so, brother. I don't think this is the same thing as it was previously. I think we can all agree when all this Max talk was happening before that it was kind of some contract leverage, right? He just got a new deal last offseason. And again, yeah, maybe he does go to a new team and wants to rework his deal and get more money. Again, who am I to tell him he's not worth more money? What Myles Garrett and Mike is getting paid is actually crazy, right? They're getting paid a shit ton of money. And Max probably believes, I believe that I need to be in that, in that same category. But I don't think he's pulling a Myles Garrett. I think, honestly, bro, he just wants to win. And I don't know if he believes that can happen here. So we'll see. Daniel, I'd rather go get Brian Thomas Jr. from Jacksonville. I don't really know if there's let me say this. I don't want to say that. I think there is some smoke to that situation. And I think that Cohen and company, Gladstone and company, I think they're just kind of monitoring what's going on. Last year, there was a ton of talk of them possibly moving off from him at the trade deadline. I know we didn't have a great year last year, dropped a ton of balls, kind of became that 3rd or 4th option out there. They just drafted Travis Hunter, but it looks like he'll be a part-time receiver, more of a full-time corner. They just brought Jacoby in and made him, gave him an extension. Washington stepped it up out there. He looked like more of a number 1 or number 2 wide receiver out there at times in Jacksonville. So I don't know, man, but just depending on what they would want, he's still on a rookie deal, right? And there's that possible 5th-year option, for being a first-round guy. We'll see. There are some other wide receiver needy teams out there, Buffalo, We'll keep an eye on Brian Thomas, definitely, but he did have a down year last year, but maybe a new place, some new digs could bring him back and have him like that rookie season. He had a phenomenal rookie season in Jacksonville. Not going to lie, Zane Durant went out there and cooked. That was a name that we heard a ton out there, the defensive lineman from Penn State. We were hearing his name a ton. He went out there and absolutely killed it. Absolutely killed it. That's not shocking at all. They were trying to free up some money. It didn't work out with him out there. They parted ways with a ton of draft capital to bring him in to be possibly that guy that can get him over the hump on the defensive side of the football. But I don't want Marshawn Lattimore. No, sirree, Bob. No, sirree, Bob. This money says, that's why I don't want Mendoza. Dude had the best line. He only got pressure versus Miami and Ohio State. The other teams couldn't get to him. Well, then guess what? It's money. You don't not go get a quarterback just because of that. What you do is you go get your quarterback and you build your O-line up, brother. That's what you do. What did Caleb Williams look like his rookie year? Not so great, right? What did Chicago do the next offseason? Made some trades, hit the draft. They built that O-line up. Bro, you don't just miss out on a potential, this guy could be a generational talent. I mean, Pat McAfee, a ton of guys are saying that. You don't pass on a talent like that just because you don't have the O-line right now that he had at Indiana. Come on, man. And honestly, you're saying the best, the pressure, Miami, he beat those two teams. Yeah, he didn't have the best numbers against Miami. He still went out there and cooked against Ohio State. But, bro, he went out there and won a national championship. When it mattered the most, he made the big plays, the back throw to shoulder throw to Becker, the run that solidified his run, the touchdown. Like, what are we doing here? You don't just pass on Mendoza because you don't have the O-line. Think about this. You got Colton Miller coming back from injury. You got JPJ coming back from injury. You have some young guys that you still want to see develop, Grant and Caleb and those guys. You still got Glaze on a rookie deal, and you have a ton of draft capital and a ton of money to spend in free agency. What are we doing here? What are we doing here? That makes no sense. It makes no sense at all. Let's get to this real quick, you guys. Once again, man, salute to everybody here in the building. As always, appreciate you guys so much for rocking with me. Again, I'm a little all over the place today, you guys. I had no sleep. I'm exhausted. So thank you guys for bearing with me today. Again, it's been a fucking crazy week. We were ripping and running all week long. The combine was definitely a success. We had a lot of good networking. We did a lot out there, man. We did a lot. We bring this up. Boom. Raiders announce the 2026 coaching staff. So it's official here, you guys. We officially have our coaching staff moving forward. We chose to not bring in a QB coach, which is okay with me. We have a ton of guys with QB coaching experience under their belts. Clint Kubiak. We'll go over the names. I thought possibly they may last minute, maybe bring back Greg Olsen, who has been a really good quarterbacks coach in the NFL. Not a great offensive line, or offensive coordinator, but he's been a really good quarterbacks coach. We spoke. Well, let me say this. We got some intel that he chose to take the year off. There was some teams interested in bringing him in, but he chose to have some family time instead and take the year off. So salute to Ali. Much love to him. But it looks as though we chose to go in another direction and not bring in a quarterbacks coach. This is what we're looking like here, you guys. Clint Kubiak, head coach. Mike McCoy, assistant head coach. That's also going to help a ton with Fernando Mendoza. Matt Capurro, SVP, coaching operations. We got Rohi M, director of special projects and game management. I didn't want to say his last name because I was definitely going to butcher it. Offense, Andrew Janoku. Always butcher his last name. Janako? Always butcher his last name as well. We know who he is. Clint Kubiak's guy coming over from Seattle. He'll take over as the offensive coordinator, and also he'll help a ton with Fernando Mendoza at the quarterback position. Zach Azani, wide receivers coach. We talked about him a ton already. Pete Collins, offensive quality control coach. Rick Dennison is our new offensive line coach. He'll also help a ton with Fernando Mendoza, a ton of experience on his resume. Nick Holes, offensive pass game coordinator coming over from Tennessee. Another guy that was out there with the Raiders a ton. Welcome back home, brother. Most of his resume says Oakland Raiders, Las Vegas Raiders. So he is definitely coming back to the silver and black. Mario, is it Jabril? Offensive run game coordinator. Connor McQueen, offensive quality control coach. Luke Steckel, tight ends. He's done a great job out there with Michael Mayer and Brock Bowers. Great to see him back. Ben Wilkerson, assistant offensive line coach. Omar Young coming over from Iowa, running backs coach. Tim Zetz, offensive assistant. Get to the defensive side of the footballs. Rob Leonard, DC. He gets elevated, turning this thing from a 4-3 to 3-4. I'm excited to see if he can possibly have this look somewhat like a Mike McDonald defense, a guy that he worked under in Baltimore as a linebackers coach when he was the DC. Steve Ferentz, defensive assistant. Drew Gaither, defensive quality control coach. Cody Grimm, defensive quality control. Al Holcomb, senior defensive assistant. Kenyon Jackson, assistant defensive line. Kettner Cup, defensive quality control. Matt Robinson, safeties coach. Travis Smith, defensive line. Ronell Williams, linebackers coach, a guy that's coming over from Philadelphia. Keep an eye on Nakobe Dean. I'm hearing Dallas is interested in Nakobe Dean possibly as well. Joe Woods, he was retained. Pass game coordinator, defensive backs coach. Let me go to special teams. Joey D, special teams coordinator. Marquise Williams, senior assistant, special teams. And then Tim McDonald, assistant, special teams. So there you have it, you guys. That is officially our coaching staff for 2026. You love to see it. I'm excited about it. We'll see if these guys can unlock a lot of these young guys' full potential, especially the year 2, year 3 guys. I'm really excited to see what these guys can do with Jack Besh, Dante Thornton, Grant, all these young guys, man, and those year 3 guys, the JPJs of the world. I'm excited to see what they can do with him as well. Bubba, thoughts on Texans trading for David Montgomery? The reports were coming out, Bubba, that they were going to go out and get a veteran running back in free agency. I'm not shocked that they brought David Montgomery in, but I am shocked that they've moved offensive linemen back-to-back days. I believe they sent one to Cleveland. And now Juice Scruggs, is traded as well. Again, their O-line has not been great out there with Houston, and now they're moving them for a running back, a guy that is he 27, 28 years old, somewhere in that range. They're going to have to build that O-line up here in free agency and in the draft. But they parted ways with, I believe, a 4th and a 7th. I like David Montgomery a lot, you guys. I think that he can be a number 1 back. He has shown that he could do that in Chicago. He's been a great 1-2 punch with Jahmyr Gibbs. But I thought that they gave up a lot. They gave up a lot, a 4th, a 7th, and Juice Scruggs. I just thought that was a lot to go bring in a David Montgomery. And again, I think he could be a stud, but I think the Texans, I think they low-key got finessed. I do. I believe. And I think they got the better talent in David Montgomery. But again, moving on from those picks and also moving on from some offensive line depth and Juice Scruggs, I don't really know if that made a ton of sense for them, honestly. And they just drafted, Woods from USC. I don't know if that Woody Marks. I don't know. I don't know what the Texans are doing here. I really don't. I think that they only know what they're doing on the defensive side of the football. Offensively, they just continue to baffle me. You know what I mean? I don't know. They went and made that trade for Christian Kirk and took on that contract. He hasn't really been doing a ton out there as well. I don't know what a classic case of, having a great defensive-minded head coach and one of the better defenses in football, but just not being able to really truly address what they need to get done on the offensive side of the ball. Alan, looking forward to the fullback position coming to the Raiders. Want Max Bredson to lead the way for Ashton. He's a beast. And there was a lot of talk out there, Alan. We were speaking about the fullbacks. And we're going to have a special, special portion of the show here in the next week or so where we're going to talk about the fullback position. Because again, our head coach said that he would love to bring in a fullback and bring in another running back to be, a sparring partner with Genty. But yeah, man, that was definitely a position that a ton of people were mentioning to me in regards to the backfield with the Raiders. So salute to my guy Allen. Salute to Lays. Jacoby Lane in the 4th. I don't know if he's going to be available there. But with one of those 4th round picks, if he's there, I wouldn't be against that. I like Jacoby Lane. I like him a lot. Be interesting. Would be interesting. Yes, that's definitely a wasted guy. Juice Scruggs. Juice high stakes Scruggs. JC says, who do you believe will be our first free agent signing? That's interesting. I want to say they go O-line. Salute to my brother Jason, Demon King in the building. I would love to say that they want to go O-line and possibly look at, a Linderbaum if he's available and make him the highest paid center in football and bring him in and keep JPJ at guard and Colton at left tackle. Got that strong side for Ashton Genty on that left side. Be great. But possibly, man, one of their own. It could be a Stokes. Spytech has spoken about potentially bringing back Eric Stokes, who had a phenomenal year for us last year. Maybe they just take care of Carlson if they don't want to go get a kicker in the draft. Maybe they do that. If Aubrey's available, though, you guys, the kicker from Dallas, I know he wants to get possibly $10 million a year. He's probably the best kicker in football. I know Cam Little has had some crazy kicks, but Aubrey has been money. I would definitely take a look at him if Dallas allows him to escape. But possibly one of our own guys. It may not get let me say this. We would love that sexy pickup day one, right? Where it's, a Linderbaum or a Braden Smith at right tackle, or possibly a Devin Lloyd or a Nakobe Dean. Keep an eye on Nakobe too. I think he could be a name that we could definitely look at as a cheaper option over Devin Lloyd. Keep an eye on him. Bringing over his linebackers coach. Nakobe put something on Twitter that he was really happy that his former linebacker coach signed with the Raiders. Keep an eye on him. But possibly one of our own guys. I.e. Eric Stokes, or one of those type of guys. Or maybe they do believe that Carlson can get it together this upcoming season and they bring him back. But maybe Eric Stokes, maybe, or a Nakobe Dean. Keep an eye on Braden Smith as well. Again, the right tackle out of Indy. Let me see. Damani Jackson, Branch, and Barian Brown were definitely a 40-yard timing letdown. A lot of those guys were, man. A lot of them were. I was expecting, Chris Hilton Jr. to run a faster 40 than what he did. A lot of the guys went out there and didn't really perform up to what we thought. That's no knock to Chris Hilton. That's my guy, and that's my brother Paul's client. I thought that he was going to run a crazy 4.2 something. And it didn't work out in his favor. But yeah. But you know what, man? I'm not one of those guys, man, that's going to put too much stock into these 40s. And Q, yeah, he officially did have a 4.38. But again, I think a lot of people thought that he would have a quicker 40 than that. Malachi Fields had a 4.6, and we didn't expect him to go out there and run crazy. He's a big body guy. 4.6 for him, I think that's pretty good. I would love to have Malachi Fields in a Raiders jersey as well. That would be, man, that'd be fun. Just a Notre Dame guy, right? So Q says, I apologize for the Surratt love. Hey, man, look, Surratt can still be an interesting pickup for us as well if he's available there in that 3rd or 4th round, man. Again, him and you can't take away from him having that chemistry with Fernando Mendoza, you guys. If you can bring him in and he could be one of those security blankets from day one, I'm not against bringing in Elijah Surratt. Again, I'm more on the Omar Cooper Jr. train right now. If he can somehow, some way fall, which I don't know if that's going to happen, I would love it. But I have no issue with Surratt. He had a couple drops there in the playoffs where I was like, oh, man, he's not really looking like that short-handed guy that I thought he was. But yeah. Yes, my opinion. I definitely believe that we will. We spoke to him. The Raiders brass met with Zach Branch. Again, I told this story at the beginning of the show that he thought me and Stu were Raiders scouts. He thought they were scouts because we were sitting there and talking about him, and him and Omar Cooper were pointing at us like, oh shit, the Raiders are here. You know what I mean? So I think that Zach Branch would love to be a Raider, continue that bloodline in the silver and black. His grandfather, Cliff Branch, one of the greatest football players ever. He's a Vegas guy. It would make a ton of sense to bring in Zach Branch. I would love it. And I definitely think if he's available there in those mid rounds that the Raiders are going to make a decision. If he's possibly there in the 4th round, I would love it. I would love it. If he fell to the 4th, without a shadow of doubt, you run up there to go get him. But going to be interesting to see if he's available there in the 3rd and they just pull the trigger and bring him in. But they did meet with Zach Branch. Yes, Mike Washington had a crazy day. A crazy day. Crazy. Let me see. I know Carnell Tate didn't have a great 40. He ran like a 4.53. He'll still be a top 10 pick, you guys. He's still one of the best wide receivers in this draft class. Omar Cooper ran a 4.42 40. Again, this guy is going to be possibly a 1st-round guy. I would love if he fell to the 2nd. If he's there at 36, I would not be mad if the Raiders pulled the trigger there. But he ran a 4.43. I don't think Mekhi Lemon actually ran a 40. I don't think he didn't participate in any of the field testing. He did run the gauntlet, and I believe he dropped his first pass there. He did have some weird interviews. I know a couple people that I talked to about him were kind of thrown off a little bit by how he responded to some of the questioning at media day. But I think that Lemon's a dog. KC Concepcion, Texas A&M, another guy to keep an eye on. He didn't participate in a ton of the on-field testing, but I heard his name a lot. Salute to him, though, for speaking to the media. I know that he had like a speech impediment, and some people were saying, oh, he can't talk and blah, blah, blah. Y'all got to kill that shit, man. This kid is a kid that had the heart and was brave enough to actually go up there and speak to the media, knowing that he had a speech impediment. I love to see that kid went up there and spoke for himself. I love it, man. And he definitely had a great gauntlet as well. We were sitting over there kind of flabbergasted. He was a stud there, man. He was a baller. Denzel Boston. We sat there while he did his vertical in his 4.28 shuttle, but I don't believe that he ran the 40 either. I could be wrong, you guys. Again, we were ripping and running a ton. Gurmy Bernard ran a 4.45 40. Another guy that we got a close look at during his vertical, the kid out of Alabama. Another intriguing option that'll be available there in the 2nd round, possibly. Brennan Thompson. This kid went out there and absolutely earned himself some money, you guys. He went out there, ran a 4.26 40. Fastest man among wide receivers at this year's combine. Went out there and absolutely cooked. He was like this close from beating Xavier Worthy's 40 times. So salute to him, man. Another name to keep an eye on out of Mississippi State. That kid went out there and absolutely cooked. Skylar Bell, another name to keep an eye on. Salute to CBSSports.com. He ran a 4.26 40-yard dash. It was his 2nd 40 that he ran. Dude is a stud, Connecticut guy. Salute to my guy Jason in the building. We've both been high on him since day one. A UConn, more of a smaller school type guy. You can keep an eye on him. Could be a day 2, possibly early day 3 guy. But Skylar Bell went out there and cooked. We talked about Zach Branch, 4.35, 2nd 40-yard dash. Another name to keep an eye on. I think some people thought that he would run a quicker 40 than he did. But again, strong hands. I think that this kid could be a guy that can get some home cooking with the Raiders, come home to Vegas. The Cliff Branch connection, his grandfather. This would be a great pickup for the Raiders. But I had fun watching those receivers and watching those running backs. Definitely, man. That was really, really cool. He said Lester Hayes had a speech impediment. Man, it happens, right? It happens. It definitely happens. Tyler Green's going to get switched. I definitely believe so. That dude is a physical specimen. He's 6'6", the quarterback out of Arkansas, you guys. He is a stud. I think he could be like another Terrell Pryor. Honestly, Dan, you have him, do some wildcat here and there at the quarterback position. But remember when Pryor converted the wide receiver in Cleveland? I think he was a Pro Bowl wide receiver out there. This could possibly be another Tyler or Terrell Pryor 2.0 situation. The guy's a big body guy. He's, the athleticism is off the charts. 6'6" body. I mean, bro, he could be one of them ones at the next level if it works out at the wide receiver position. Again, I don't know where he would fit in regards to the quarterback position. I don't know if he has what it takes to get it done at the next level. but he could possibly be a stud if they move him to wide receiver. Definitely. Let me see. All right, we talked about that. We talked about the Maxx stuff. We talked about our new coaching staff. We talked about, again, Tremaine Edmonds, you guys. It looks as though, according to Jeremy Fowler, that we would possibly be interested in making a trade for the Pro Bowl linebacker out there with the Chicago Bears. 3 teams are interested in him, us, the Titans, and the Giants. So it's going to be interesting to see, what that would look like. Again, he has 1 year left on his 4-year deal, a base salary of $13.9 million this upcoming season. If you could bring him in through trade, that would be great because, again, you put at least a body there in that linebacker position with Tommy Eichenberg and Cody Lindenberg, and then it doesn't leave such a dire need in free agency. You got to address that linebacker position, whether it's through the trade market or in free agency, i.e. Nakobe Dean, Devin Lloyd, Leo Chenal, those guys. But I would not be against bringing in a Tremaine Edmonds, a former Pro Bowl guy, veteran guy, 27 years old, still has a lot of football left to be played. I would love to possibly see what that would look like. If he's not traded, maybe Chicago possibly cuts him, and then we could possibly bring him in at that point. I think let me see something real quick. I think that his brother is still in Vegas as well. I think that he's still in Vegas. Didn't we bring him back on like a, what is it called? He's back on the practice squad, right? I believe we re-signed him and he's back on the practice squad. So that would be an interesting, connection there. We kept Terrell around, brought Tremaine in through trade, got the brothers in the building. Wouldn't be against that at all. Manny Main says, Maxx for Pickens in a 1st and 3rd. Would you? Look, I'm going to say this, man. You guys know how high I am on Pickens, right? And I know a lot of people are not as high on him. I know that our boy Q, salute to Q. I ran into Q out there. Where was it? The convention center. Had a brief encounter with my guy Q. Salute to him. He said I wouldn't even touch George Pickens. He was hearing stories about him, being fined left and right, and there was some other stuff out there. Look, I'm a George Pickens guy. I'm a George Pickens guy. If you can get a 1st, a 3rd, and an All-Pro wide receiver in Pickens, and you reunite him with Brock Bowers, I'm doing it. I'm doing it. I know a lot of people wouldn't, and a lot of people think he can be, this and that. He's still 25 years old. He's really young. If you can get a Pickens, a 1st and a 3rd from Dallas, I'm doing it. I'm doing it. I am. It is what it is. I know a lot of you guys won't agree with me, but those are 2 really good draft picks there. I mean, you got a 1st and a 3rd. Which one are you talking about, the 12 or the 20? Either one of them work. But I don't think that Dallas would possibly part ways with numerous draft picks if they're moving on from Pickens as well because of the year he had, 1,400 plus receiving yards, 9 touchdowns. I don't know if they're going to do it. So let me see. No, and I'm not bringing in Marshawn Lattimore at all, brother, at all. I think that he's cooked at this point in his career. I think that the Commanders made a massive mistake trading for him. They learned the hard way. They learned quick, and they moved off of him. So, all right, we talked about that. Talked about Mendoza. All right. Got that out the way. Get a few more questions in you guys before we get out of here. Again, man, salute to everybody rocking with me as always. That was what I seen, Rick. Yeah, Q said that Pickens showed up like 30 minutes before a game, and Dallas didn't even know if he was going to play or not. Facts. Hey, man, look, as that. George Pickens is a stud. He's a stud. That's all I'm going to say. Now, will he act totally different, getting a massive new deal? And he could, right? It's definitely something you would have to worry about. Like you signed George Pickens to a massive extension, and it's something that you're thinking, okay, how is he going to perform now? And how is he going to act now with all this money at his disposal, right? It could be a bad situation. It could. But again, I'm in the belief that I like my wide receivers a little crazy. It just is what it is. I don't think that you're going to find too many Jerry Rices and too many Tim Browns, quiet, just assassins. I think a lot of these wide receivers are divas. That's just who they are. It is what it is. I kind of like my receivers a little off. I mean, not Antonio Brown off, right? I mean, not like that, but I like my guys a little, it just is what it is. And you're right? Scared money don't make no money, man. I take Pickens too. Facts. Thinking two teams that don't want to trade people. Imagine if, no, yeah, that would not happen. Why would you trade a guy that's going to be 29 years old and Maxx Crosby for a 29-year-old wide receiver, a disgruntled wide receiver at that doesn't fit the timeline of what we got going on out there? Be nasty work. Second round, Jacob Rodriguez, unless the Toledo safety is there. Man, Emmanuel McNeil was my guy, dude. I'm telling you, people were talking about him a ton out there, Jay. They were really, really hyped about him. And that's a Graphk guy right there. That's a Graphk guy. I'm telling you now, if he's there at 36, if he somehow, some way escapes that first round, go get him. Go get him. He can be a staple in your secondary for years to come. Real talk. A guy that can play in the nickel, play the safety position, a guy that can add a ton of value in terms of versatility. Go get that man. Go get that man. Let me see. Boom. But yeah, you guys, other than that, salute to everybody. Just about to hit that hour-and-a-half mark. I appreciate you guys so much for pulling up on me, man. Again, my apologies for not being as live as much as I could out there in we could do a mock on the way out. You guys want to do a mock? We could do a mock. We can definitely do a mock on the way out. Appreciate you guys so much for just kind of being patient with us. We weren't as live as much as possible. We were trying to just connect. We had a lot of shit going on. We had some dinners, some sit downs. We had a lot going on, a lot of moving and shaking out there. So, instead of going live, we valued trying to build some connections out there and try to get some, new relationships to take this thing to the next level. You know what I mean? So, but we're back. We're home. We're back at the crib. We're going to be live all week long. We're going to start March off with a bang. Free agency is next week. Ton of free agency shows moving forward this week. Graphk and Wasted show, Wasted and Graphk show. We're going to have a ton. Stu wants to sit down and have a show this week as well and talk about the combine and talk about some other stuff. So we're definitely going to be active all week long. Hey, Shiz, look, bro, I'm a Jewelar guy. I got a chance to see him up close. It was good to see him out there. The deep ball was on full display. I think that Jewelar, there's never been any question marks surrounding his arm. We'll see what he looks like, really coming back from that injury. And I would not be shocked if Jewelar was a top 3 quarterback off the board in this draft. Honestly, Jewelar is a guy. He's a guy. If he goes to the right situation, I'll throw a bold take out there, you guys. If he goes to Minnesota, if Minnesota finds a way to get Jewelar out there, they move on from J.J. McCarthy, I think Kevin O'Connell can work magic with him. Magic. So, yeah. I'm a Jewelar guy, though. I'm a Jewelar guy. The measurables are there. Yeah, Johnny, my phone kept dying, man. Yeah, bro. Kept dying. I salute to my guy, Johnny Wade, in the building for kicking it with us the whole time out there. Yes, my phone kept going dead. Johnny kept having to get pictures for me and stuff and sending them over my way to be able to post. So, let me see. All right, let's do a mock on the way out. Let me bring this up. Make sure you guys wipe them feet real quick for me, man, and make sure to hit that subscribe button if you guys are not subscribed yet. We'll go fast. We'll go 7 rounds. Boom. Go Raiders. These damn pop-ups are crazy. All right, let me share the screen. Boom, boom. Okay, what the hell is going on? Share screen. Boom. Man, we're just going to reject all this shit. You know where I'm going. Got Mendoza there. We didn't go to St. Elmo's this time, Rick. We did not. Ooh, future second. I don't want any future picks right now, though. Don't want any future picks. So K. McDonald is there. Lee Hunter is there. Chris Bell is there. He is an interesting guy. But guess what, bro? I'm going to get my guy, Emmanuel McNeil Warren, right there. I think he's going to be the next Nick Amenwari. I got my guy there. 72, no. All right. 84, no. All right. So what I'm going to do here is Christian Miller's available, you guys. Keontae Scott is another guy that's intriguing. Mike Washington's there. I'm not going to take a running back this early, though. I'm going to take the best corner available here. I'm going to take my guy, Chris Johnson, out of San Diego State. I think that he could be a dude at the next level. So I'm going to get my corner here. I should get an edge rush, though. Let me see what edge rushers are available real quick. Elijah Surratt is there. Branch is there. I think he may be available next round. I'm not taking Overton there. I'm just not. I can't do it. Tacario Davis. I liked, I was watching him running his 40 out there at the combine. Brendan Talley. Okay, let me see. Derek Moore is still available. I'm going to go ahead and get my corner right there. Now, this fourth round is going to be really fun. All right, Tacario's there. I just took my corner. Got the big orange right there, big citrus right here. I think I'm going to end up taking him right here at defensive tackle. Let me see. Chandler Rivers is there. I watched him a ton out there as well. Aiden Fisher is there. Okay, so like Harold Perkins is still there. I'm going to see if I can double dip here. I'm going to get and for those who don't know about Dominique Orange, 6'2", 322, big body, defensive tackle out of Iowa State. Big citrus, man. I'm telling y'all now, this can be that nose tackle possibly there for us. I'm going to go ahead and take him there. Come on. Hurry up. All right, cool. Harold Perkins is there. A Graphk guy. A Graphk guy wasted. A Graphk guy. Now, this is interesting. Going to picks. Got my quarterback, got my safety, got my corner. So we addressed our secondary. Got my defensive tackle, got my linebacker and Harold Perkins. I don't know if Malachi Fields is going to be available this late, you guys, but it would be great, right? Zane Durant is there. It's not really too many great edge rushers available here. Jake Slaughter's there. Man, Max is there, the edge rusher out of Iowa. Possibly go there. Let me see. Logan is there, though. Logan Jones is there. We got an edge. Okay, so I know who I'm going to take here. He'll be available next. He'll be available next round. Should I do it? Logan Jones. Malachi just goes off the board. All right, so here, I'm going to go get my running back. Damn, I didn't get any receiver, though. Shit. I'll wait for the running back. It's kind of nasty right now in these wide receiver streets. But it is what it is. I might take Singleton here, man, because he's the best available running back. Damn, Dante Corleone's still available? I wonder if I should just double up right here on the big guys. I know some people may get pissed off because I already got Citrus there. Red Murdoch is there, linebacker. I like Farmer a lot as well. Lander Barton is there, a linebacker too. I may double dip here. Coogan's there. Damn. I'm thinking, you guys. I'm thinking. Damn. Kind of missed out on some receivers here, man. Let me go back to defense, see what edge rushers are available. Okay, Caden's still there. So I'll go back to wide receivers real quick. Eric McAllister's there, though. I might take McAllister. I'm kind of pissed off right now, you guys. My apologies. I'm trying to see where I should go here. Oh, man. I might take Corleone right here, you guys. I might take Corleone. I don't think he'll be available here, but he is available right now. I might just double dip here. If you want, look, we want to be, it starts in the trenches here, right? Why not bring in two guys, two big dogs right there? I might bring Corleone in. It is what it is, man. Boom. All right, now I'm going to go to offense. Aaron Anderson. Pounds is still available. Go to running back. Okay, I still got some guys available there. I'm going to go get Eric McAllister. 186, 224. Reject that. I could double dip here at the linebacker position, go get Jack Kelly. I like him. Got a chance to talk to him too. I think was it the Shrine Bowl? Damn, Barton is still available there, huh? Let me see. Oh, Riger's there. You go get me an edge. Then if he's still available, I'm about to double dip here. Boom. Give me two edge rushers. Damn, I missed out on running back. All right, so here it is, you guys. Let's see what you guys think. Again, I was just trying to, take what the board was giving me. Fernando, definitely. Emmanuel McNeil, Warren, a guy that's going to be a stud for us in the secondary. He was there at 36. Again, I think he'll be a first-round guy. Got Chris Johnson there at 67, the corner out of San Diego State, one of my favorite corners in this class. You got Big Citrus at 102. We're switching that 3-4. Need as much big bodies up front as possible. Went and got him. Got Harold Perkins Jr., my guy. I think that he can be a stud at the next level at 124. Got Logan Jones at 134. Center that possibly can come in and help. He's a scheme fit. And again, a guy that Omar Young is very familiar with. I know that he'd have him and Genty on the same page there. Got Dante Corleone. I don't know how he was available at 174, but I'm taking that all like 10 times out of 10. I got two defensive tackles there. Again, we're going into a new system there on the defensive side of the football. So got Eric McAllister, the big 6'4", wide receiver out of TCU there, 181. Mason Riger, the edge rusher out of Wisconsin. And then Caden Curry was still available at 220. I double dipped at the edge spot. So I did not get a running back. Cool. I can get one in free agency. And I do believe that they're going to, look at one of those veterans there available in free agency. So I'm not really too much mad. You can also possibly bring in a UDFA also to go out there and compete for that running back 2 spot. So I'm not against that, but I think this was a good one. You got a wide receiver a little too late for my liking, but again, you can possibly get one in free agency. Running back, again, I missed out there, but I don't really care. I thought this was a good draft, man. Mendoza, Warren, Johnson, Orange, Perkins, Logan, Corleone, McAllister, Riger, and Caden Curry. Again, the kid out there at Ohio State that has been phenomenal. I don't know if he's going to be available in 220, but we'll see. We'll see. Rick, I love Malachi Fields. I would have took him there, but again, I'm kind of in the minority here. I like what we have at the wide receiver position. I really truly do. I like what we have with Jack Besh. I think he's going to be a stud this upcoming season. Tucker last year of his deal. I think that he'll show up and show out. I want to see what Dante can do here in year 2. We got some interesting names out there. Again, the offense is going to run through Genty and Brock. Mayer's going to be good for us. So again, getting a wide receiver very early is not necessarily a need. If we had to wait right there till 181, I wouldn't be upset. Again, I would probably want to get one there in that 124 mark possibly, but it is what it is. Perkins was there, so I went and got him. So there you go. But other than that, you guys, let me get the hell out of here. I'm about to give me some give me a workout in and give me some rest, give me something to eat, and I'm just going to chill for the rest of the day. Again, we are on Maxx Crosby watch, you guys. Conflicting reports out there that he will not request a trade. Albert Breer throws something out there into the woodworks today that he thinks that he can possibly be gone and traded this week. There's going to be a lot of content on the way, so stay tuned. As always, love and appreciate you all. I'm out.